God knows how to bring promises to pass, but you have to stay open to how it's going to happen.
Don't ever say, God, don't you love me? You always say, God, I know you love me. I don't care what's happening in my life. I know that you love me.
I want you to go out and find somebody to mentor during this crisis, or go sit at the feet of somebody that needs to mentor you, and start maximizing your time with people.
Listen to me closely. But we've been programmed to fail. Did you hear what I just said? We were born. We're made in the likeness and image of God. It doesn't get any better than that. And been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth, including the adversities that we face.
My mother said, Leslie, if you run around with 9 broke people, I guarantee you'll be caught number 2. Well, come to find out, Mama was right. She only had a 3rd grade education. But the studies indicate that you earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. So poverty and living a mediocre life is communicated mind to mind. And so your relationships can hold you down, or they can lift you up. I teach people to practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. If you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group.
Your body naturally will feel the effects of what you've created in your mind. And a lot of you guys are on the receiving end of something that happened to you, a heartbreak, a situation, disrespect, feeling vulnerable, and so it's very natural for something that you've experienced to replay in your mind over and over and over. But if you change your mind, it'll change your life.
Your perception of who you are, you've got to change it. And most of our perceptions are other people's concepts of us, and therefore we don't have self-concept, we get other concepts. What is your perception of who you are? And the second one, why do you think you exist? You got to discover that you were born for something. Some reason, there's some purpose for your life. If you don't discover that, you'll always have a job.
I'm still a work in progress. I'm flawed. I have my own issues, problems, and situations that I'm working through. But I do understand clearly that I'm much more further along than a lot of people. And so I feel like I'm putting my hand out there and hoping to relate, and hoping that you can relate to what I'm saying and what I'm speaking on.
If you're a person where all your friends come to you with a problem, that's because they see something in you. You're more balanced and stable. But you got to remember this old saying. If you're the smartest person in your group, you need a new group. It ain't nothing bad. You just got to upgrade people in your life. You cannot be the go-to person in the group. So, just upgrade your friends. Don't worry about it. You have a gift that you solve problems all the time. You know what people pay for in this country? They pay for expertise in this country. The moment you're an expert at something in America, you can make $1 million. All you got to do is be an expert at one thing.
I asked Dad one time, I said, Dad, how do you know that people need encouragement? Because he was encouraging everybody. I said, how do you know they need to be encouraged? He said, son, let me explain this to you. If they're breathing, I love this. If they're breathing, they need to be encouraged. That's exactly how my father lived his life. He called encouragement the oxygen of the soul.
When you're an eagle, you're meant to rise up. We don't rise up when everything's going well. We rise up regardless. You're trained to rise up on your worst day. That's who you are. In the worst of circumstances. No place for whining, complaining, being anxious, being negative. It's totally unnecessary.
All your circumstances may say you'll never fly. You don't have the training, the experience. Thoughts will tell you you'll always be grounded. No, get ready. Your wings are coming. Where you are is not permanent. God did not create you to crawl, to go through life lonely, struggling. He created you to soar, to take new ground, to go further than you thought possible. Now quit being discouraged by what you see. What you see is subject to change. You don't know what God is up to. You don't know what He's doing behind the scenes.
Eagles live on another level.
Eagles think on another level. Eagles dream on another level. Eagles function on another level. If you had somebody reject you, leave you, stop crying about it. It was just a chicken.
I now realize how true. So you don't know the truth until you obey the word. Now, God give me strength to preach this. God give me strength to preach this. God, you keep asking God to explain it, and he keeps telling you to trust it.
Now, the fact is, goals aren't going to achieve themselves. And even the smallest act makes you one step closer. Even the smallest step is progress. Now, listen to me, friends. Taking action daily, on a daily basis, every day, is the most important step toward your success.
I was number 3 behind Michelle Obama for a long time. Until my book sold out. Yeah. And I was a guy just 21 years ago who was 300 pounds, could barely read and write, and now I have a book just 2 spots behind Michelle Obama, just because I was afraid. But you overcome those fears, guess what happens? The whole world, you unlock this door, and everything opens back up again.
Receiving is like the ocean. Well, the problem is, some people go to the ocean with a teaspoon. What I suggest you do in view of the size of the ocean is trade your teaspoon for at least a bucket.
All of the great discoveries, great inventions, great deeds that have lifted man up from his animal existence have been wrought out of the actual by the perpetual thinking of and visualizing these things by their authors. These grand characters clung to their vision, nursed it until they became mighty magnets that attracted out of the universal intelligence the realization of their dreams. Whenever we make our demand upon the brain by desire, that part responds in growth. Don't let go of your desire. Whether it be music, art, literature, business, or a profession, hold on to it. No matter how dark the outlook, keep on visualizing your desire, and light and opportunity will come to enable you to make it a reality. Whatever the Creator has fitted you to do, He will give you a chance to do, if you cling to your vision and struggle as best you can for its attainment. The opportunities for boys and girls to bring out whatever the Creator has implanted in them are 10 to 1 today to what they were 100 or 50 or even 25 years ago. The great danger in our time is not lack of chance or opportunity, but of losing our vision, of letting our ambition die. Most of us, instead of treating our desires, seriously trifle with them as though they were only to be played with, as though they could never be realities. We do not believe in their divinity. We regard our heart longings, our soul yearnings, as fanciful vagaries, romances of the imagination. Yet we know that every invention, every discovery or achievement that has blessed the world began in a desire.
Release control of how it's going to happen. God is about to do unusual things, out of the ordinary, unprecedented. You're not falling behind. You're about to receive a phone call, a good break, a promotion. Your health suddenly turns around.
If your life and your surroundings is a nightmare while you're awake, those same nightmares are going to continue into your sleep, because the mind doesn't turn off because you close your eyes to go to sleep and rest. You can think yourself into a depression. Keep thinking and replaying and thinking and replaying, playing the same over and over and over in your mind.
Too often we say, oh, I'll be happy when I just get that promotion. I'll be happy when I just land that contract. I'll be happy when I just have more money. I'll be happy when I just what? You won't be any happier when you reach your goals than you are right now. It just doesn't work that way. Abraham Lincoln said it best. He said, you'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be. Right now, whether you're on your way, whether you've already gotten there, you'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be now. Right now. Being happy on the way doesn't mean you can't aim for great things. After all, look at everything Franklin accomplished in his lifetime. It means that big achievements come one small advantage at a time. It means that you've got to enjoy the journey. It means that you must enjoy and take pride in your little accomplishments. It means enjoying who you are becoming in pursuit of your eager desire every day, every single day.
If you're a believer, it's life versus even more life. Do you hear what he is saying in this text? Do you hear what he is preaching? He's saying, yo, to die is gain. What he's saying the bigger sacrifice is not death. The bigger sacrifice for where I am at right now is to keep on living.
No one can live beyond the limits of their belief. So if you want to live beyond what you're living now, you have to change your belief system. The secret to anyone rising is what happens in their belief system. Your life is what you think it should be. That's exactly what you are right now. You are what you thought you should be. And if you don't like who you are, you got to change what you think you should be. That's how leaders are born. Your leadership development is determined by, number one, your perception of who you are. Number two, by why you think you exist. And number three, your sense of significance. I am giving you my secret to life right here. You got to first change your perception of who you are. And that starts with a belief system. Secondly, you must change your perception of why you think you exist. And number three, your sense of significance. No matter where you are right now, it doesn't matter. I don't care what situation you're in now, where you're working, or what situation you're in. If you get these three things to come alive in this session, when I see you again, you'll have a story to tell. Discover that you are important to the human race. You are important to the world. You are important to your universe. You can never fully carry out the mandate of leadership if you don't have the mentality of leadership. It's about mentality. A matter of fact, integrating attitude and aptitude and altitude produces leadership. That's a lot of ops there. First of all, your attitude got to be right. Then you must marry that to attributes. That means gifts you were born with. Then you got to marry that to aptitude. That means now you got to educate and train those gifts. That's why you read and study and go to school, for your aptitude to be increased. And then your altitude means you got to change the level of associations you are in.
Look forward to the rewards that we're going to have for the work that we've done. But we don't do them to get rewarded, just like you really shouldn't give in the offering just to get more back. You should give because you appreciate what God's done for you, and you should give because you remember what it's like to be a miserable person, and you want to help other people that are where you used to be.
Another thing I do, I schedule my exercise out for the whole week. So on Sunday nights, I go through all the online classes I'm going to take. I put them in my calendar. That way I'm not making a game day decision. Another thing that I do, I have a little reward afterwards. Another thing that I do, I lay out my clothes the night before. All of these are little steps that make it easier for me to fulfill on something that I don't want to do.
We all look for toughness. We all want it, but we look for it in a comfortable environment. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. I was trying to look for it everywhere. The only way you find it is to drown yourself in a position where you're just out of sorts, where you can't swim and you're drowning. You're drowning in life. But you say, you know what, man? Fuck that. I'm going to figure out how to fucking backstroke or fucking something. I'm going to figure out how to, and then through figuring out, when you say, fuck you, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm miserable, I'm suffering, I'm broken, but I'm not going anywhere. What happens to your mind is it does this. It says, fuck, he's not leaving. So we got to expand. We got to grow. And then you start to engage parts of your mind that you never engaged before.
Destination is not determined by hope. It's not determined by wish. Destination is determined by direction. You cannot change destination overnight. You cannot change destination overnight. which means you can't arrive at a 5 years from now place tomorrow. But here's what you can change today, and overnight. You can change direction. And it is so fascinating what a little small change of direction will do. Let's say that you're here, and you're headed this way. And 5 years from now, you'll wind up here. But here's how we individually can arrive at a new destination. Maybe right now by discipline or lack of discipline or direction, you're headed this way. But it wouldn't take much to change direction and head this way.
When we do things for the right reason, man, God comes through with blessings that are just absolutely almost unbelievable. Why don't you have any faith? But they arrived on the other side because what God says will happen with or without you.
The eagle spreads its wings as something to behold. It was built to soar, to fly. It was built to withstand storms, so that when the storm comes and other birds run for shelter, the eagle runs into the storm and uses the storm to lift it up so that it can fly above the storm. You know you're an eagle when you ran into a storm that you thought was going to kill you, and instead of it killing you, it lifted you higher than you've ever been lifted before. It's a sure sign you're an eagle. Can you hear me tonight? What you need is another eagle with wings and dreams and visions and concepts, who's not jealous of you, who's not intimidated by you, who's not fighting you. You know that it's an eagle when they're not jealous of you. You know it's another eagle when they can pray for you and you to get to the next level. It's only the chickens that are down on the ground talking about everybody. So don't be frustrated when you see the chickens flapping up and falling down, because at this stage in your life, it's time for you to be synergistic with other eagles.
What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else.
Responsibility, the key of it is that it wakes you up. It wakes you up to stop being so wasteful with your time and with your resources and with your energy and with your talent. And so I think that that's really the key. And so, you know, you can either waste your time, which makes your future self less successful. And every time you do that, every time you invest a little bit in your future, you've made yourself more free in the future.
You don't have to change circumstances out there. All you've got to do is look within and see if you can change yourself to the better. And as you change, things will start to change for you.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing.
It's good for you to go take your place in the world. Have some ambition. Have a vision. Have a goal. Have a strategy. Try to be a good person. And not because it's your duty precisely, because that's the proper way to live. We're in danger of undermining all of that. You can't just sit there.
How easy and how convenient is it for us to blame everything and everybody for the things that we have going on in our lives? Most of you dropping every excuse in the book about your childhood and the problems, dysfunction that you grew up in that's stopping you from becoming successful. Stop being a lazy person that's full of excuses, sitting around on the pity potty, coming up with every excuse in the world as to why you ain't winning.
And you don't have to fill yourself with that kind of energy. So you don't put your thoughts on what's missing. You don't put your thoughts on what always has been. You don't put your thoughts on what others want for you.
You are the reason you're not winning.
When we make more decisions based on the place that we want to go, we allow ourselves to train our brains to know that we are in charge, that we are the ones making the decision, that this is our life.
And we can create the kind of world that we want to create.
It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared.
Everything behind every moment of adversity in your life, there is blessings and there are lessons. Every moment of adversity has those two things, pains, always leaves a gift. Sometimes the breakup is the blessing. Say sometimes you got to get rid of man in order of God to give you the man that you really need. You just have to hang in there. He might have something better for you. Don't worry about the people that God has removed from your life. He saw things you did see. He heard conversations you couldn't share, and he saw. He made movies you know you wouldn't make, and that is what do you do when that what God gave you the bride in start coming.